In 1924, a 55-year-old Frenchwoman shuffled through the gates of Lhasa disguised as a poor Tibetan beggar. She had blackened her face with soot and grease. Her feet were wrapped in rags. She walked with the hunched gait of a lifelong pilgrim, quietly muttering prayers in fluent Tibetan. The guards barely glanced at her. And just like that, Alexandra David-Neel became the first Western woman to enter the most forbidden city on earth. Tibet had long been almost impossible to reach. Lhasa sits at an altitude of 3,650 meters in the heart of the Himalayas, surrounded by some of the highest and most forbidding mountains on earth. But geography was only part of the barrier. For centuries, the Tibetan government, a theocratic state, deliberately isolated itself from the outside world. Jesuit missionaries from the 1600s were turned away. In 1904, the British had to invade with an army just to force entry. Even in the 1920s, Tibet wanted nothing to do with foreigners. Isolation was their best defense. Most people accepted the ban. Alexandra David-Neel did not. Born in 1868, Alexandra David-Neel was a restless, free spirit. She discovered Buddhism at the age of 21 and became obsessed with Eastern philosophy. In her late 20s, she pursued a short career as a professional opera singer, partly for money but also for adventure. But she never stopped studying Buddhism. By her mid-30s, she had largely left the stage and devoted herself fully to her true calling, deep study of Tibetan language and culture, spending many years living on the edges of the Tibetan plateau. In 1923, at the age of 55, she set out with a clear plan to reach Lhasa. She travelled with her longtime companion and adopted son, the young Tibetan monk Afur Yongden, a man she had first met years earlier in a monastery in Sikkim. Their final push to Lhasa was an extraordinary journey, hundreds of miles on foot through freezing conditions, crossing high passes, sleeping in caves, and surviving on tsampa and whatever they could find. At every checkpoint, Alexandra played her role perfectly, a humble Tibetan pilgrim mother, eyes down, voice low, story simple. The disguise held because she had prepared for years. On a cold February morning in 1924, she walked into Lhasa. No fanfare, just a French woman in beggar's rags standing in the shadow of the Potala Palace, where no Western woman had ever been before. She stayed for 2 months. She blended in, attended festivals, visited temples, and observed daily life. Unlike many Western writers, she refused to romanticize what she saw. In her book, My Journey to Lhasa, she described a feudal society with real inequalities and powerful monasteries, while still showing deep respect for Tibetan Buddhism. Her honest account became an international sensation. Alexandra David-Neel went on to live an astonishing life. She spent decades traveling across Asia, became one of the first Western women recognized as a lama, wrote over 30 books, and influenced generations of thinkers. Even at the age of 99, she was in the process of renewing her passport, still hoping to travel again. She died in 1969 at 100 years of age. Today, the region is officially known as Xizang, the Tibet Autonomous Region, administered by China. Mainland Chinese citizens can visit independently, but international tourists must join an organized tour and be accompanied by a government-approved guide. More than 100 years later, Lhasa and Alexandra David-Neel remain curiously connected. The city she risked everything to reach is still a place of deep mystery and intrigue, isolated by geography and guarded by politics. Alexandra's story reminds us that the most magnetic places are often the hardest to reach. They call out to those with the curiosity and tenacity to earn their way in, exactly as they did for one remarkable French woman in 1924.